So this was it, the South Downs Way 50. 50 miles of chalk, hills and gravel, starting in Worthing and finishing with a lap of the running track in Eastbourne. Over 350 runners lined up at the start, hoping they would reach the finish by the 13-hour cut-off. I was looking forward to a race on my home trails along the undulating paths that I usually train on not far from where I live in Brighton. The month of training leading up to the race hadn't been ideal, but more than anything, I was happy to be back racing and keen to get out there and enjoy the trails. Okay, we're coming up to an hour in, about 6.5 miles in. Yeah, not feeling too bad at this point, but it is very early days, of course. So lucky with the weather today, absolutely stunning. It's gonna get up to probably about 14-15 degrees, but yeah, stunning sunshine across the downs, and luckily we haven't had any, well, huge amount of rain recently, so underfoot looking pretty good too. Right, we've been through the first aid station and we are coming up to Devil's Dyke. First aid station was back at a place called Botolph's. Yeah, big shout out to all the people at the aid station. Centurion have amazing volunteers. They were just so slick when they're filling up your bottles. Take them off, you can be out in, 30 seconds, a minute. Really helps for, getting a kind of swift hurry on with the race. Yeah, really good. Thanks very much. Cheers. Right, so we're through this second aid station at Saddlescombe Farm, about 16.5 miles in, 2.5 hours gone. So yeah, I haven't actually talked about what I'm going to aim for today. As always, I'm going to set A, B and C goals. C goal is always to finish, just to get over the line. Cut off today for the race is 13 hours. So that's how long we've got to complete the race. And then I'll probably talk about my A goal first actually, and then the B goal. So A goal, which is maybe rather ambitious today, but we'll see how we get on, is going to be to do a 50-mile PB time. So last year at the North Downs Way 50, came out in around 8 hours 40. So I've actually got the paces I would need to run out and get through for each aid station written down, so I can kind of see how on course or not I am. But I have been not too well over the last couple of weeks, so just going to see how it goes today. But first and foremost, get out there, enjoy it, and try and get a good race in, enjoyable race. Oh, someone's burning something there in the distance. B goal will be, if the A goal doesn't quite go to plan, I have to adjust, then to come out sub 10, which will be roughly what we're going to aim for in terms of pace for the first half of the South Downs Way 100, which is in June. So yeah, that's the plan for today. Very much going to play it by ear. At the moment I'm on course for PB pace, but we'll see as things go on. Haven't done many long runs recently, so I think the longest I've done is about maybe 14 or 15 miles in the last couple of months, so not great. I think I did a 19-mile back in February, but maybe that won't make a difference, so we'll see how things go. But above all, actually love just being back racing. I think the last time I was racing was back in November, feels like an age ago. So the race I had back in March had to pull out because of the chest infection. That was the Endurance Life marathon over in Eastbourne, so trail marathon. So yeah, just very good to be out experiencing the buzz of a race. Really, really good. Right, we are 21.5 miles in or something, and we're just at Ditchling Beacon at the moment. So yeah, not feeling too bad at the moment. We have another aid station coming up in about 5 miles time, so at marathon distance. But yeah, overall feeling pretty good, and food and water seems to be going down well, so yeah, good times. Right, stopping out for a quick stretch. Legs are feeling it a bit, so yeah, I want to stretch out so I don't get any cramp. Oh, I'm just getting a phone call. Actually, I found a phone along the way, so I'm taking it to the next aid station. Oh, can I get to it in time? No is the answer. Right, I'll call them back in a second. Such a beautiful day for this. We've been so lucky. You know, quite recently we had some storms in Brighton just a couple of weeks ago, so 50-mile-an-hour winds, rain pelting it down, but hasn't been any of that for the past week. And then today we've got, yeah, really ideal running conditions. It's about 13-14 degrees. Has been misty and overcast in places, but actually that's been good, particularly early on as you're finding your rhythm, wanting to keep cool. So yeah, just such a nice day for it. You know, I'm someone who doesn't deal too well with the heat, and when I say heat, like anything above 16 degrees centigrade I start to blow up. So yeah, this is ideal. Really, really good. All right, spotted here Jay, ultra distance runners. He's out filming people on the course today, so yeah, do check out his channel, have a look. What are you doing, buddy? Right, good to see you, man. Oh, good to see you.
Oh my god, I've been running up and down that bloody hill millions of times.
Have you been up and down the yellow brick road?
About 7 trillion times. I'm absolutely zonked.
God, it's a perfect day for it, isn't it?
Oh my god, isn't it just?
Amazing.
Isn't it just absolutely fantastic?
So are you going to stick around here, or are you going to go
I'm heading back now.
back that way?
How's
cool.
Dean, yeah.
Great to see Jay there from Ultra Distance Runners channel. So he's been going up and down the yellow brick road so far, and I think he's going to be going up and down other bits of the course as well. So yeah, do have a look at his video, see if you can spot yourself in there if you're running today's event. So we're now running down yellow brick road, about a mile of gentle descent towards Southease. Very tempting. Right, we are just at the top of the climb after Southease. So I was at the Southease aid station just down there. Came through 50k in about just under 5 hours. Currently at 34, almost 35 miles, 5 hours 40 in. And yeah, not feeling too bad overall. I was really dreading today. I thought I was going to feel absolutely terrible after recent illness, but actually feeling, well, I say pretty good. No more terrible than usual with ultras. You know, you expect a bit of discomfort, a bit of, you know, getting tired and that. But yeah, nothing too out of the ordinary. But yeah, going well, and beautiful day for it. So nice. Big thanks as well to Ruth and the team down at Southease aid station. Like I mentioned before, you know, all the aid station volunteers here, absolutely superb, and everyone who's out stewarding, who's marked the courses. Yeah, Centurion do such a good job. So really good event. Penultimate aid station done at Jevington, and that was about 41 miles. Came at just the right time actually, because I was feeling a bit of a dip back there, but went in, got some watermelon, got some water, and we are on to the home straight. So one more aid station to go. So yeah, not long now. Right, just coming up to the last aid station, and then we will only have about 4 miles or so to go. Yes, feeling it now. Definitely feeling it. Ooh. Last aid station done. Just ate a ton of watermelon, and we should have about 4 miles to go now. So we are on the home straight. Just got to keep this pace, keep going. And we're doing the last climb at the moment, and then we've got some downhill, and I can barely talk. This always happens. Just start talking really slowly and almost slurred. But yeah, we've got some downhill after this, and then a couple of miles on the road, and then we'll all be done. And we're going to finish at the racetrack as well, so Eastbourne Sports Park. So we've got to do a lap of that, 400 metres at the end of the race. So we're at the trig point that looks out over Eastbourne. Anyone who's done this race before, or the South Downs Way 100, you will know this iconic part of the race. There is Eastbourne out in the distance. There's the big Centurion running sign, so you don't go the wrong way. And we're heading down for the final few miles. So here we go. It's actually a bit gnarly, this section, and we're only 3 miles to go, so just got to be really careful here not to put a foot wrong. In fact, saying that, why am I filming? Yeah, let's pop the camera away. One more lap of this track, 400 metres. Looks longer than 400 metres. So in the end, I came out in 8:14:56, so knocking about 25 minutes off my previous 50-mile PB. And there were a number of things that I felt went really well with the race. The first thing was pacing. So I was using a tactic that I'd used in the North Downs Way 50 last year, and that was to have the splits of someone who'd ran the time that I was going for written down. So someone in a previous year who'd run the time I was aiming for, in this case it was 8:40 and below, and that allowed me to kind of cross compare and see whereabouts I was in terms of pacing. It's not an exact science, but gives you a general idea, you know, am I a bit ahead or am I a bit behind? So here you can see a list of the aid stations on the left, so the different checkpoints we've got, each in brackets with the miles that they appear at, and then my accumulated time, and then you've got the splits, the time between each aid station, and then in red is the difference. So that's the difference between the time that I was running at and going through each aid station, and then the splits from someone in a previous year who had run at 8:40. And as you can see, I was accumulating time as I was going through, and that felt a very good confidence boost to know that through the first aid station I was 8 minutes ahead, then I was 12 minutes ahead of schedule, 17, etc. By the time I got to the later aid stations, I knew that, well, if I just keep this pace going and I don't blow up, then I'm gonna get under the time that I'm aiming for. Positioning, you can also see there, so maybe suggest I was a little bit quick through the first aid station, position 33, and then ending up in position 37. And then pacing you've got along the right as well, which maybe also suggests I was going a little bit quick to the first aid station, but then at the same time there are some very runnable parts in those first 11 miles. So lots of kind of gentle descents where you can really pick up the pace. And I think I had about 4 or 5 miles when I was running sub 8-minute miles, which usually I wouldn't be doing in a 50-mile ultra. So yeah, that was the first thing, pacing. The other thing I would say aside from that is my feet also felt the best that they ever have done at the end of a 50 mile. If I compare it to the other two, I had no blisters, no hot points, and that just meant I was much more comfortable in those later miles. The shoes I was wearing were these, which is the North Face Invective North Face Vective Endurus 2. I think that's the name of them. I'll pop it up on the screen anyway. bit of a risk wearing these because I'd only run maybe a 2-hour run in them previously, but they were just super comfortable. I thought I'll give them a go, I'll try them out, and they really helped. I was wearing those with my gingy toe socks, which kept my toes separate to avoid, you know, chafing or blisters. The other thing I also did was take good care of my feet before the race too. So I taped up my feet with this here Hapla band. In fact, I got this as a tip from a YouTube channel called Ultra Runner Adam. So Adam Lucas runs this channel. He's a super ultra runner, but he's got a great video on tips to take care of your feet well in longer ultras, particularly 50 miler and above. So that was one of the tips I got from him, to tape your feet with this. And then aside from that, I made sure my toenails are nice and short, so they weren't going to be rubbing. And then also I Vaselined up my feet as well. So yeah, I was very happy with how my feet felt at the end, because sometimes they can get a bit trashed if you're doing longer races. I also didn't pack too much. So in my first 50-mile race, I packed enough food for probably a small family to have a picnic. So in this race, I packed much less and relied on aid stations more, and that meant that I could travel a bit lighter. In terms of aid stations, I also moved through them very quickly. So I had a system where as soon as I would get to an aid station, I have my bottles out and ready with the lids off, ready to be filled up. And then I would empty any rubbish. I always kept that in the same pocket in my vest, and then just see if I needed any food. So 30 seconds to a minute getting to aid stations. And the South Downs way is really good because the aid stations typically appear before hills. So you can get the stuff that you need, and then you can be having a drink and eating bits as you're going out of the aid station. And then the final thing I would say that really helped was knowing the route. So you can't necessarily always do this if you're running an ultra, but because the South Downs Way 50 is on my doorstep, like the route, it meant that I could go out and recce it. There was only 6 miles of the course that I hadn't run, and that was the first 6 miles, but otherwise I was familiar with the rest of it. The last 4 or 5 miles I hadn't run up until a few weeks ago, but I went out with Jeff, who's going to be pacing me for the South Downs Way 100, and very kindly he showed me the route, he showed me where the finish was and how to get down off the downs in the last couple of miles, the road bit that goes towards Eastbourne Sports Park. So that was really useful, just to have confidence in knowing where I was going, particularly when your head starts to get a bit fuzzy towards the end of the race. That is the South Downs Way 50 2023. Really happy with how the day went, particularly as I think I had a lot of doubt coming into this one this week. So I really thought that I was going to struggle to finish it, given that I'd had a couple of weeks of illness, feeling tired off the back of that. Sorry, I'm just finishing some cashews. So yeah, I was really doubtful about today, but I think the big thing I've learned is that just because you have a couple of weeks of illness in your training, it doesn't necessarily mean that your fitness is going to dramatically plunge or anything like that. You know, I thought, you know, having the chest infection, having the dip in energy, I was going to, you know, find it very difficult today, but actually went really, really well. So I think sometimes you've got to back yourself more. I think, you know, I had low confidence on this one. So yeah, this is definitely a confidence boost going into the South Downs Way 100. I've got that in a couple of months' time. I just need to try and get some good training in, some consistent training, upping the mileage a little bit, doing some back-to-back long runs. So that is the plan for the next couple of months, and then June is the big one, the South Downs Way 100. As always, thanks everyone for your support. Great to see so many people out on the course today at aid stations that I knew, or people who watch the channel, who tune in. So yeah, great to see you all out there. And as always, a massive thank you to Centurion, who put on an amazing event here. So yeah, big thanks to them, and I'll see you all in the next one.